woman? You crazy or something?
Permission, shoot him!
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I'm your host, Armando Ortega, and welcome back to another episode of the Mind of Mando. I hope you all doing great today. I know I am. They've turned that down real quick. Just a couple of notches. I know it's pretty loud, but hopefully my voice actually picks up a little more. Aside from jazz music that I like listening to, there's times where I just listen to some blues. Some of that dark blues. 1 second. If you guys care to join me, cracking open a cold one. That's right. 1 second. Oh, man, delicious. Delicious. Excuse me. Alright, guys, how's everybody doing today? Hope you're all doing great. I'm doing fantastic, actually. It's a pretty decent past few days. This past Monday, actually on the 3rd, my lady and I celebrated our 4-year anniversary. That's right, we did. Morning we got up, went to this nice breakfast place where it served some of the bomb-ass omelets you'd ever have. And we wanted to go there. And yeah, we didn't really do anything throughout the day. It's just... For me, it was mainly the fact that we even got the whole day together, with our conflicting schedules, me in the morning, her in the afternoon, but also the fact that she gets into work a few hours later than I do. We don't really get to see each other. On top of that, it's like when I have my 2 days off, she's working. And when she has her 2 days off, I'm working, But, that's just how it is. It's just how it be sometimes. Turn that one more notch. I like blues too, but it's just like, don't let it be too loud and overpowering. Well, anyways, yeah. So other than that, like we relaxed, but we kind of cleaned up the day too, which is good. The house really needed it. We ended up going to dinner. It was a great place. Me and my lady and I, like, she introduced me to this place called Crab Hut when we first started going out. And for almost anything, her birthday, our anniversary, my birthday, anything like that, if we want to treat ourselves to something great, we go to Crab Hut. It's been getting a little more expensive every time, but it's just like we don't do it all the time, and it's just a treat for her and I. Well, we like I think a week ago, I was like talking to my boss and everything like that, and I ended up bringing it up that it was our anniversary coming up on the Monday, and he was like, "Bring her to our restaurant right here." Keep in mind that restaurant that he's talking about is a very, very expensive place. How expensive is it? A-listers go there, like people with money go there. People who are somebody's go there. That's how expensive that place is. Well, anyways, I ended up going and everything because, connections and stuff. I was expecting to pay something. We went there, enjoyed some potatoes, some octopus, some scallops, some shrimp, some drinks, everything. Beautiful atmosphere, beautiful people. I knew some of the people there and everything like that. And all of a sudden, our server comes up to us and she goes, "You're all taken care of." I'm like, what? It's like, "Yep, you're good." I didn't pay a dime. Oh my God, just such luxurious eating. Loved it. Can do it again. Not taking advantage of it, but can do it again. Let me tell you, I had a smile the rest of the night, because it was just like, not only did we have a great day and a great dinner, but all that was just comped, just not a penny out of my wallet. And I was like, great time. I can't believe it's been 4 years. And the fact that it's been 4 years already is just like, I'm getting notified through my Snapchat and my Facebook and everything like that about events that happened 4 years ago and everything. And how do you say, it's just seeing those events, it's just like, holy crap, 4 years have passed by already. 4 years. It doesn't even feel that way. It feels like probably maybe a year and a half max, but it's been 4. I was 24 when we met. Now we're 28. And it's just like, and in like 4 months I'll be going to 29. Just, oh my god, what is happening? But that's really about it. Got off of work today, decided to come home, relax for a bit, had a bite to eat, enjoying a can of Liquid Death. Hopefully you guys are joining me, and just wanted to podcast while listening to some nice blues in the background. Sometimes you just need to like relax, take a load off, basically. So we got some topics for today. Let's just get right into it. I don't know how long this is gonna last, this episode, because like honestly, I've been trying to do an episode for like a few days already, but just haven't been able to, because stuff have been being brought up, and every single time I feel like I have enough to talk about, I just see more stuff, read more articles, just something new always pops by, and it's good and bad. Good because it's, come on, content, you have things to talk about. You're never gonna run out of topic, especially with how the world is today. Bad because the more you read about it, despite being entertained and be like, oh, look at this ridiculousness, it's also an eye-opener of how crap the world's going to. It's a bittersweet thing, basically. My cat's acting kind of a crackhead right now, but yeah. All right, let's get into the topic today. So, there's this place called Utica. All right, let me see exactly where it's at. Actually, look, I just started. I'm already like screwing, like not even having all the information correct. All right, let's see this. Yeah, it was in Utica, New York. So, Utica, New York. The police department in Utica, have you guys ever heard about like gun buybacks?
State Attorney General's gun buyback program aims to curb gun crime, but one man claims he made guns on a 3D printer for the sole purpose of selling them at Utica's buyback event. As News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris reports, he walked away with $21,000 in taxpayer money.
On August 27th, the State Attorney General's office held a community gun buyback program at the Utica Police Department. No questions asked, they'd buy from you as many guns as you wanted to surrender.
Nobody thought this through. If you look at the flyer, it is just the gravest thing that Letitia James could have done. Is she literally put a bounty on 3D printed guns. She said, I will give you extra money if it doesn't have a serial number on it. They made no specifications. They didn't touch on any details. There was no fine print. And that's why I was able to walk out with $21,000.
After seeing people posting on Twitter about using 3D printers to make ghost guns to sell at gun buybacks, a man who identified himself to us as Kem got to work on a $200 3D printer he got for Christmas.
Well, I 3D printed a bunch of lower receivers and frames for different kinds of firearms.
Then he drove 6 hours to Utica.
He says, hey, you're here for the gun buyback? And I said, yeah, I'm here. And he sees the tote. He's like, oh, how many firearms do you have? And I said, 110.
This began an all-day negotiating and haggling session with staff from the State Attorney General's office.
And it ended with the guy and a lady from the budget office finally coming around with the 42 gift cards and counting them out in front of me. $21,000 in $500 gift cards.
We asked the state attorney general's office a few weeks ago if they were aware this might be happening at gun buyback programs. They didn't answer the question, responding only that the buyback in Utica helped keep families safe and was a big success.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure handing over $21,000 in gift cards to some punk kid after getting a bunch of plastic junk was a rousing success.
Kem says he had two objectives: make some cash and make a point.
And gun buybacks are a fantastic way of showing, number one, that your policies don't work, and number two, you're creating perverse demand. You're causing people to show up to these events only to make money, and they don't actually reduce crime whatsoever.
Utica police referred all questions to the AG's office. We reached out to them again today. No response.
So it's just like this fool finessed the department for $21,000. And I'm like, take away $200 for the 3D printer, just trying to make your money back on that. That was an investment. You already made it back. You're now left with $20,800. How much filament was supposed to be used? I don't know. I would assume, let me be generous. If this is generosity, $500. Let's say that. He still walks away with $20,300. I mean, like, he like a small portion will probably go to gas, but the only thing he actually ever lost was his time. That's it. That was the only thing he really had to spend was his time, if even that, because all you need to do really that would require your presence there is to make sure that your 3D printer or the head that the filament comes out to form whatever you're trying to print out, it doesn't get clogged or messed up or whatever, but if your machine runs smoothly and it's reliable and everything, you can just put things to print and then just call it a day. I'll check back in an hour or two or whatever, and then just keep going, keep starting. That's it. And he brought it back. These things were prop guns. They didn't actually fire anything. They were prop guns. And he just gave them just over 100 of them, and he got $21,000. That's insane. Why did he do that? Well, the obvious answer, everybody would be like, the money, which it's true. The money, he got his bag and everything like that. But he also did it to prove a point. You know what that point was? Basically, that point was saying that these gun buyback programs don't work. They don't do anything. The Department of Utica said that it was a success because how much firearms they got back. He was like, no, it wasn't. The only thing that they did was pay him for prop guns. And that was it. They weren't going to load actual bullets in there and then shoot him out because, it's plastic. It's not even like hardened plastic. Like, it's not treated or anything like that. It's just plastic from a 3D printer. It's gonna, like, if it works, it's gonna blow up on itself on top of that. But it's like, he was like, these gun buyback programs don't work. Why? Because the only people that are ever gonna fall for that are the people who legally own firearms. Criminals don't care if you're just gonna give them a $500 gift card for every gun that they bring in. They can get more with one gun at a bank because they're going to commit crimes. If they have firearms, they can force people to give them anything they want. So no, the criminals aren't going to be like, oh, you know what? This is good. They're going to give me $500 gift card for every gun that I bring back. I'm just going to do it that way. It'd be nice if they thought that way, but they don't. So they're just like, I'm just going to keep my guns. Because the people of Utica are giving their guns to the police department, which means they're no longer going to be armed. Why am I going to move from this place? The police department's like, it's going to be safer. Less guns out there, less guns to do your harm and everything. It's like, you're only arming the citizens, the law-abiding citizens. you're just reinforcing the criminals to stay in that place by giving that false message, that false hope of safety, on preying at the fact that people, that everyday citizens just don't want to leave their house knowing that they might never come back because of someone's greed and selfishness. You're putting them in even more danger. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like this. I already put this as an example a couple episodes back. No one has the right to steal money that belongs to others. Let's say I work a great job with great pay, and I just have so much money saved in the bank. All right. Middle of the night, I just want to go to the beer run before 2 a.m. hits and the liquor stores close. Banks are closed. None with with an ATM or whatever, except the ATM by the liquor store. I should be able to go there at the middle of the night, take my card out, withdraw a couple hundred or so, and then walk inside without the fear of somebody seeing me and jacking me or shooting me and then jacking me and everything like that. I should not have to fear that I need to worry about taking money out that belongs to me. But that's a fear that exists because that possibility exists. That's the harsh reality of things. People are taught not to do what's wrong, you know? I mean, some things are just plain obvious. You don't really even have to teach people some things. They just know, you know? But people know that you shouldn't be stealing from others. That's why when people steal from others, they have to have a weapon. And that's why they have to cover their face, because they know it's wrong and they're trying to hide the fact that they might have to face consequences for what their actions got for them. But if I go out there and I do that and I end up getting robbed at gunpoint and then I go and report it to the police, you know what the police are going to ask me while they're taking my report? They're going to ask me, why were you walking around with hundreds of dollars out in the open in the middle of the night in this rough ass neighborhood? Why were you doing that? Do you think I'd have any, how do you say it, sanity in my mind if I got mad at the cops and were like, well, why are you victim blaming me? Why aren't you asking everybody else to not rob me? Teach people not to rob, you know? You see how that's not logical? Because people know not to rob, but people who do so don't care. Because they're not looking at your feelings. They're not looking at your financial struggles. They're not looking for your safety or well-being. They're looking after themselves. Whether they're doing it like the Sandman was stealing money to save his daughter who had an illness in Spider-Man 3, or they're doing it just because they saw something nice they want to do, they want to have, and they need money to have it, because what they want is a little bit more difficult to steal compared to somebody in the middle of the night in a wrong neighborhood at an ATM, you know? So that's basically responsibility that we have, or citizens have, to uphold amongst themselves, if that makes sense, you know? It's like people shouldn't be breaking into your houses. People shouldn't be robbing you for your cars, for your money, for your luxuries, or anything like that. People shouldn't have to threaten you or your family's well-being. You shouldn't have to feel that fear, but that's the reality of things. It happens. And it's your responsibility to take the precautions to make sure that you don't fall as a victim. If me and my lady were here in bed sleeping, and somebody is trying to kick in our door, guess what? The police can be called, and the police will be called. But you sure bet your bottom dollar that I am going to defend my lady and myself and our household with everything in my power. Because it is my responsibility to make sure that we are safe. The police are there to keep us safe, but the police aren't everywhere. The police will probably take like 5 minutes, like average time, probably if it's a huge emergency, to get there to where I'm at. But we live in downtown. So, you know, especially if it's the weekend, it'll be a hell of a lot harder. But I'm right here. I can do something about what's happening to us now. So it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. Doing these gun buyback programs are just basically, oh, look, make yourself less safe. Make yourself an open target. Make yourself this, and that. There's this one thing I saw one time where it was basically saying that citizens were placing a specific color at their front doors to show that they're a gun-free home. They're a gun-free home, this, and that. And someone was like, oh, great. Look, you're advertising yourself to robbers, showing that you can't defend yourself, you know, because like I said, robbers don't care. Robbers don't care. Oh, did you know this is a gun-free house? So? Robbers won't care. It's like, cool, you don't have guns, which means you got to do what I say or you're going to die, you know? Well, like I said earlier, taking guns off the streets, it won't work. It won't stop criminals from committing crimes. It won't stop criminals from having guns. And the criminals are going to keep flocking to gun-free zones because those are the easiest targets. They're the easiest place to hit, you know? I probably figured that would probably be like more gated communities or something like that. But also it has to do with the fact that when things exist, when things are invented and exist in this planet, it's very hard to keep them away from the hands of everyday people. You know what I mean? Ghost guns are still going to be a thing. You know, the guns that people make at home or people who shave off serial numbers or anything like that. They're going to be a thing. They're going to exist. As long as there's a will, there's a way. Think about this. UK is super strict on guns. Super strict on guns. But you better bet yourself that guns still exist in the UK. And everyday people still have guns in the UK. Because people who don't care about the laws will not follow the laws. They will continue doing what they please and whatever they want to do. And if having a gun is one of the things that are going to help them keep doing what they want to do, guess what? They're going to find a way to get one. Because that's how they work. So you're just hurting the everyday person that's trying to just live their lives and protect themselves and keep to their own. You know? So on top of that, it's just like, you think that's going to stop people from trying to hurt other people? Guess what? In the early days of civilization, whether you're religious or you believe in evolution or whatever like that, guess what? When there wasn't guns, when there wasn't swords, when there wasn't knives or anything like that, there were these things called rocks. There was these things called sticks. Some things called like your fists, you know? Even today, people who get beaten to death by just blunt force objects. There's people who get beaten to death by just getting punched over and over again. Are you going to regulate fists now too? It's just, if things are invented, if things can be obtained at some point by everyday people, then people are going to continue having it from now to the end of time. What about some outdated weapons? Katanas. Yeah, they're still around. But I mean, like, if you're going to have 10 people with machine guns in a room and 10 people with katanas in the same room, starting from the opposite sides of that room, guess what? The people with katanas are just going to absolutely not move. They're not going to live anymore. Because it doesn't matter if you're trained for years with a katana. If someone with a machine gun is pointing it straight at you, all they need to do is pull their finger. That's it. Just squeeze that trigger. And it's just going to release so many bullets. You're going to die. But katanas still exist. They're still in the hands of citizens. Here in all the different countries. What about working tools? You know? Machetes are supposed to be used to like cut down vegetation or crops, this and that. They're used to kill people too. Scythes are supposed to be meant to harvest wheat or cut them down or cut grass or whatever like that. And there's competitions for like cutting grass with scythes on YouTube. Guess what? They could still be used as weapons. What about a hammer? A hammer to just hammer nails into wood, build a house, build a cabin, build a chair, whatever, you know? A hammer can still bludgeon somebody. What about a saw to cut down trees? A saw to, like, you know, make things a little more symmetrical, to just, you know, do woodwork or whatever. Guess what? That can still kill somebody. You could still saw someone in pieces. An axe to chop down trees. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? I mean, hell, even boars who have tusks that naturally grow out of their face, they can still gore somebody. It's like, oh, we're gonna start regulating all those now? It's insane. What a loony world we live in, you know? It's just like, oh, but guns can help you kill more. Anything can help you kill more. It's just like, but now you're just making sure that those who are naturally wanting ill intent onto others are the only ones that have that advantage. All right. Damn. But it's also quite difficult considering the fact that my buddy was talking to me about this the other day. Basically, where he lives right now, it's very how do you call it? Very pro Second Amendment, which is awesome. And you know, they have, I think, absolutely no regulations on firearms. I could be mistaken. I'll talk to him. I'll update it on the next episode. But it's so different in contrast with how California is. You know? Because California, if you have an AR-15, you can't have an AR-15 that has how do you call it? Where you can wrap your hand around a handle. You know? You got to put this flat thing on the back to combat it. I think it changed now, but before it used to have to fix magazines, meaning you had to reload your AR with ammo through the side instead of taking your magazine out, filling up your magazine, and then putting it back in and, you know, racking around. You can't have more than 10 rounds in a magazine on top of that. It's just that the resulting AR is just very ugly, you know? And compared to a state that's just like, you want an AR? All right, go get it. There you go. You good? All right, is it registered to you? All right, you're fine. Go ahead. You see? You see? But do you think people in California, you know, who belong in gangs or just want to rob or whatever like that, you know, do you think they're gonna be like, are you sure your rifle is California compliant? You know, because when we go in there and just have everybody at gunpoint, get to the ground, and then we start robbing everybody from their very pricey possessions, we got to make sure that they know that we're compliant with California gun laws. No, they're not going to care about that. If anything, they're going to attach a chainsaw to it and make a Lancer from Gears of War, you know, because apparently that's a possible attachment now. But something about it is that because of that, also, it just seems that in California, criminals are having more rights than the citizens. You know, I remember I was working this one job a few years ago, and they were having this thing like a 3-day orientation, basically. And for the security department, there was a orientation that we had to take specifically for the security department. No other department in that place had to do anything like this. We did. And basically it was meant to teach us about, how do you say it? About, you know, arresting, making contact, etc., the type of people we're going to have to be facing. One of the things that our instructor said is like, California is a stand your ground state. I get it. I kind of chuckled and everything because it was just like, it doesn't seem like it. If that's the case, it doesn't seem like it. And honestly, I don't think it is. I gotta look it up, but the reason I say I don't think it is, well, it doesn't seem like it, correction, is because I know in California, well, at least the last time I checked, in California, what they require you to do is, if your life is in danger, or you feel like your life is in danger, like somebody's gonna come at you with a bat or a knife or anything like that, and you end up defending yourself and it resulted in that person's either critical or fatal fate. You, as the person who was the victim protecting themselves, are no longer going to be treated as the victim, but as the aggressor. Why? You're the one who was trying to protect yourself. Some things that get asked you is like, well, did you try and talk them down of it? Did you try and reason with them? What did you do? Did you speak with them? Did you show them that you weren't unarmed? If you really felt like your life was in danger, why didn't you try and leave that area as much as possible? Did you exhaust all your options on leaving the area to run away, to make sure that no life is taken away? Did you do all this? Did you do all that? You know? And at any point, it's deemed that you had at least one option to have exited the area without any altercation ever, then you're the one who's a murderer, despite you trying to protect your own life. You know how insane that is? How that means if somebody busts into your house and the only way out of there was through that door they busted in through, and it's deemed that you had enough time to go to that door and leave, then you're the one in trouble, you know? And it's ridiculous. I mean, I live multiple stories up. So for me, if that ever happens to me, I only have that one door as an option. But it's ridiculous, you know? It's like that shouldn't even be a thing. I have a buddy. When I first moved down here, like within my first year, I met him and everything like that. I found out my buddy, he a few years back, prior from that date, he had told me that he was fighting for his freedom, and I was wondering why. Well, what it turned out was, I'm not gonna post up the article or say his name because, you know, it's his business and everything. But what do you call it? He was working security for this company one time, and he was working inside of a parking lot. He was armed, you know, had a body cam, had a vest, had his firearm, all legal, all of it legal, doing his job. This man is met with somebody who was acting deranged, somebody who was acting erratic, like they had been under medication or whatever, you know, under the influence. It was his job to protect that parking lot and everybody around it. That person was armed, I believe with a knife. I gotta make sure. He was armed. And so he saw my buddy, and he started approaching him. And my buddy starts telling him, giving him commands to stop, clear as day to stop. He kept going after him, walking towards him. My buddy pulled out his firearm, pointed at him, and just kept backing up while pointing his firearm, commanding him to stop. It all results in my buddy getting backed up so much that his back hits the wall. He has nowhere else to go, and this man is still advancing. My buddy gave him multiple warnings. Let him show that he means business. He has his firearm with him. My buddy ends up putting a couple rounds inside that guy, and the guy, you know, it's no longer here on this earth. It turns out my buddy got in trouble. They were trying to get him for murder. Yeah. And that's when the whole thing was happening, you know. Did you have anywhere to go? This, and that, yada, yada. Then you feel like you just wanted to kill somebody that day, huh? Yeah, you know, California can be shady like that. He was ultimately found not guilty and everything by a jury. It was his peers. Reason? Well, the thing that saved his life was the fact that he had a body camera on him. And that's why I love body cameras. It captured everything he did. Everything that happened. It had audio, so it captured everything that was said to him and what he was saying back. Everything in the most minuscule detail. It captured everything. And people just saw it. And they were like, yeah, no. He did everything he could. He had no choice. So I'm glad he was found innocent. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like, that's how it is in California. California, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Beaches is gorgeous, the sky is gorgeous, the areas are gorgeous. Honestly, there's really no other place like California when it comes down to the beauty and the uniqueness and everything. But when it comes down to things like protecting its citizens, the support for police, and just being realistic, it's not great. It's not great in those departments, and it makes people. Why do you think people just want to leave? People just want to move out of California because it's not a great place to live. Yeah, if you want to be by the beach, it's an amazing place to live if you make enough money. If you want to see some of the most beautiful views ever, some of the most beautiful cities ever, iconic cities too, yeah, it's a great place to live. But if you want a place where you can own property, land, and know for the fact that if anybody tries to cause harm to you or your family, that if you protect yourself, you want to know that no one's going to be like, oh, well, did you try and run away at least, then no, it's not a great place, And that's what me is like, for me personally, I would love to go back home to SF and meet my goals up there and everything like that. But the reason for that is because that's where I grew up. That was where I was born, and that's where I was raised, and that's where I have all my memories and everything like that. Well, except the past 6 years. The past 6 years have been in San Diego. But I know in reality that if I want my own land, and I want to know that a jury of my peers are going to see things with common sense and not just feelings, then I know I can't really have that living here in California. And yeah, like I said, why do you think people want to leave California? They're moving to Texas, although I understand what native Texans say when it's just like, well, you want to go away from your state because all your laws you managed to pass out there, and you want to come to our state and bring your laws with you. And it's like, no, hell no. Listen, I've been through gentrification already, all right? My old neighborhood and everything. People think SF, think of the Mission, be like, oh, quaint little town, all these Latinos, so nice, San Francisco. But people don't realize that when I was raised in my neighborhood in SF, it was all about la raza. It was all about being carnales and everything like that. And then it wasn't until like I was almost finished in high school when a lot of my old places started closing down, and then the newer people from like the rich preppy neighborhoods, you started flocking in and being like, I'm gonna start my startup. I want to open an organic coffee shop. Oh my god, look at this cute little neighborhood. Hey everybody, and then post it up on their Facebook or whatever and be like, did you guys know that there's these things called taquerias? Check out these cool tacos and everything. And it's just like, that's just how it started, And I mean, like, going back, I'm not saying it's the best, but it definitely was not the way it was when I was growing up through it and everything. So it's just like I said, I've been through gentrification, and that's basically what's going to happen in other states too. If people from California decide to go over there and bring their laws with them, unfortunately. But, so that's life. That's life. And you know what's funny that kind of contributes to that too is the fact that you have people in the major liberal cities being like, we need to defund the police. And this was so huge when in 2020 happened and all that George Floyd stuff. We need to defund the police, because if we defund the police, they won't have many people there with them. They won't have as much resources to be out there and shooting innocent black people and everything. Even though, if they just look at cases, they'll realize that a lot of that stuff was warranted. It's like that way the community will feel safer, not less police presence. The community is gonna feel safe, and the community is gonna be so grateful and everything, and they won't have to live in fear, this and that. And people are all like, hey, listen, if you defund the police, crime's gonna spike. If there's less police presence and people know that it's a huge possibility that they can just commit the most heinous things and they will never be caught, or they will never have consequences for their actions, guess what? They're gonna come out. They're gonna do what they want to do. And guess what? Places defunded their police force. And guess what? Crime spiked. Wow, who would have thought that? Who would have guessed that if there was no police, or rarely any police, and there was absolutely almost a 100% guarantee that you can do whatever you want and you will never get in trouble for it, that people would absolutely take advantage of that situation, you know? And that's what happens. But here's the part that irritates me about it. A lot of those people, political leaders and everything like that, who advocate, even just rich people, even celebrities and everything, who advocate for defunding the police and everything like that, you know for a fact that they have seen the spike in crimes. Because how else would you be able to explain that those people hired the police department to send units to their property, to their house, in order to make sure that they are safe, to make sure that nobody is going to go there and try and do anything to them or their stuff? Oh, wow. You know, just, hey, I know a lot of you quit because there's not much resources going around and no one has your back, this and that. And even if you are 100% justified, people are just going to want to like crucify you and everything because, you know, boo police and everything. How about you take time away from serving the community like you're supposed to do and just take my money and protect my one house? You know, do that. You'll still get paid. But now you only have to be here and watching over me. Screw everybody else. That's essentially how it happens. And I was like, wow, that's hella shady, you know? And it just shows, it shows that it's like, even the people who advocate for people to turn in guns, who advocate for less police and everything, are the ones who want them the most, you know? It's insane. It reminds me of like, Chop in Seattle. I know I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna say it again briefly. How they're like, we want a place without any borders, where we don't have to have IDs, where we don't have to have guns, where we don't have to have police and everything like that. We want our own place. And then they started their own place through a couple of blocks in Seattle, and the mayor just let him, even though it was entertaining, but the mayor's an idiot. And they did that. And then guess what? They're all like, oh, well, how are we supposed to tell if people are supposed to be here because they're allowed to be here? You know what? Let's build a wall. But how are we still going to identify people? You know what? We're going to ask them for IDs. People are just going to be in here taking whatever they want, doing whatever they want. We need rules. All right, let's set some ground rules that people are going to have to follow. But how are we going to make people follow? We'll start our own enforcement detail. But how are we going to start our oown enforcement detail if people aren't going to take us seriously? Here's some guns. So it's like they just went back to the way they oh my god, that they wanted to get away from all that, and then they started their own little community and they realized that all that was necessary, but it's different. It's not the same thing. It's different, you know. It's the stupidity, I swear to God. Oh my god. It's just, it's a fantasy land when people do things like that. You know, remember the Second Amendment? People are like, oh, you know, the Second Amendment, the Founding Fathers didn't picture anything past muskets and everything. And it's just like, you know, they meant muskets. It's like, did you miss that part that says shall not be infringed? It's like, stick that to your gun laws, you know? You know, people just want to be dumb. Well, anyways, he's just like, I feel like the people who advocate for all those stuff, sorry, I know I cut off to somebody else. When they advocate for that stuff, it's just like, it's because they have no experience out in the real world. They have no experience when it comes down to having to actually live and rough it out here with the rest of us, you know? The reason I'm saying that is because, yeah, they'll know about crimes. They know that crime happens. They know that it's a thing. They know that the ghetto is a thing. They know that el barrio is a thing. They know that homeless and drug addicts and alcoholics and domestic abuse and murders and rape and everything like that. They know it's all a thing. They know that robbery is a thing. They know that the different classes of the elite are a thing. But just because they know it's a thing doesn't mean they know how it is. Think about it this way. So, one example that I was thinking about it is basically in Star Wars, you know, more specifically Star Wars, the Clone Wars, you know, the cartoon and everything that was in Cartoon Network. Then, you know, Disney bought them out and yada yada. Give me 1 second. delicious. It's in Disney Plus if you guys want to see it. Well, anyways, basically it's when the movie actually came out first, they introduced a character called Ahsoka. People hated Ahsoka for the first few seasons, and understandably so. She was placed. She came out of nowhere, for one, but two, she was basically placed besides the greats like Obi-Wan and Mace Windu and Anakin and Aayla Secura and everything like that. And she wanted to basically, she was acting like she was on their level and everything, and that's why people just hated her. Later on, thanks to character development, and if you take clips from her in her later years versus her when she first was introduced, you'll see that her character developed. It was incredible. People ended up loving her. She is now revered as one of the best characters in Star Wars ever created. I mean, hell, she even got to the point where she appeared in The Mandalorian, you know? It's like, she's just so great. And they also placed her, like, if you watch episode 3 after watching season 7 of the Clone Wars, you're gonna see the fact that she has now basically been confirmed to have been there all along during everything in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Well, anyways, my point is this. She grew up all her years into the Jedi Temple, being a Padawan, being a youngling, then becoming a Padawan, training under Anakin Skywalker for so many years, learning lessons, making mistakes, and just learning from them, and actually teaching a thing to her master. And she has developed as a character so much. But the problem was, despite seeing all these injustices and unfairness happening in the world, she never had the ability or the opportunity or the misfortune of actually living those situations for herself. That wasn't until, all the events happened and then she ends up leaving the Jedi behind. She ends up going out on her own, going away from her teachings, just to be herself. It's a good show. You guys should really watch it as to why she does it. Well, anyways, she ends up staying in Coruscant, the same planet where the Jedi Temple is at, and where all the Jedi train and everything like that. She ends up leaving the high and mighty area of Coruscant and of the Jedi Temple in Coruscant, and going to the slums, essentially, going to the ghettos, going to the dangerous areas where people have to struggle to survive. Where if you meet people like creatures who are sleazy characters, it's understandable because that's how they have to do to survive. She ended up spending times there, and she ended up spending time with the Montez sisters. And even though I feel like that was a waste of 3 episodes and everything, yeah, it was 3 episodes, right? Yeah. It actually helped show how much she still had to learn, despite all those years training under Master Anakin Skywalker, even though he wasn't the rank of master yet. He was just her master. Man, even my boy Annie got played. Well, anyways, something that she learned was the fact that what she kept being told over and over again during her training is like, Ahsoka, the Jedi here to help those. The Jedi here for peace. The Jedi here to aid those in need. This, and that, yada, yada, yada. But what she learns is that despite always being preached that, once she's actually out there with everybody else experiencing what everybody else is experiencing, what everybody else has to live through on a daily basis, she learns that it's not that way. Yeah, they can keep saying it, but it's one thing to keep saying it, it's another thing to actually do it. And what she learned was that the Jedis were making absolutely no impact to the everyday citizen of Coruscant.
Were you not cast out of your order?
I left voluntarily.
Yes, but you were motivated to leave by the hypocrisy of the Jedi Council.
Nobody respected the Jedi. Nobody liked the Jedi. Because the Jedi will preach all this peace, preach all this unifying messages and everything, and they would do absolutely nothing of impact where it would help everybody. Because as long as they see on the surface that things are better, they don't care what's underneath. And that's what Ahsoka noticed.
So that's it. You're going to abandon Bo-Katan and her people?
Ahsoka, surely you understand. This is a pivotal moment in the Clone Wars. The heart of the Republic is under attack.
I understand that as usual you're playing politics. This is why the people have lost faith in the Jedi. I had too, until I was reminded of what the Order means to people who truly need us.
And when Ahsoka came back to help out and all that stuff for episode 3 started kicking off and everything, she knew that she wasn't a Jedi. She says she's not coming back. She's not coming back because she sees that the people don't trust the Jedi, and now she understands why the people don't trust the Jedi. It's insane. And it's just like, that just furthers her character development and everything. And it's just like, I always think about that. I'm like, man, if only people who were like, who are in high positions, who live in their mansions or whatever, can just for at least a year or two just experience how it's like for everyday people earning their everyday salary, having none of their protections and everything like that, having to do the same mundane job just to pay rent and their bills so they could keep doing that all over again. I mean, I'm positive a lot of them can change, you know. But you know, they're not going to go through that. It was just this funny thing that I was thinking about. All right, so let's just back away from all that and everything like that, and talk about what we haven't talked about in about 2 months already. And I think that's Chef Pie or Chef P. I don't know. For those who don't remember, she was a lady who did the pink sauce a while back. Remember? Just quick recap. Chef Pie. I was just gonna call her Chef Pie. She made this TikTok video of her covering her wings or chicken tenders or whatever, anything she was eating in this pink sauce, and her homemade pink sauce, and it started going viral. And people were like, "Yo, what is this pink sauce? What is that? This, and that." She would never tell people what it was. She just said, "Oh, it's my own recipe. It's my own recipe," and she would keep doing videos about her having a pink sauce. Well, people caught wind. And people were getting hyped for it. And they're like, yo, what? You ever thought about selling that? I want to try it. And, you know, just like anybody else, really. It's just like, oh, wow, I'm getting popular off this. Man, maybe I should do this. Seeing dollar signs, you know? When it comes down to food and selling food products on the anywhere else, you have to have it approved by the FDA. You have to have all that done before you can legally sell it out and everything to people. The thing is, what was it? Something else important is also having a recipe, basically, not just throwing things together and then just, you know, not taking measurements. Because if you use the same ingredients to try and make the same thing, but you're using different measurements every time, guess what? There's gonna be variations, and that's exactly what happened. She started making promotional videos of the pink sauce, telling people, oh, I'm going to sell the pink sauce, $20 a bottle. Damn, that's all expensive. But what people were noticing was that in every single promotional video for her pink sauce, the color kept changing. Sometimes it was lighter. Sometimes it was darker. Sometimes it was the same one that you had in the original video. Sometimes they'd be like Barbie pink. Sometimes it would be hot pink. You know, it would sometimes, some people said sometimes it looked purple. And, you know, and the consistency was different. Sometimes it was very liquidy, you know? And sometimes it was just thick. And it's just like, I'm talking about thick. It had no consistency, is what I'm saying. It didn't all have the same color. It didn't all have the same thickness or liquidiness or whatever like that. It just varied. I have no doubt in my mind that she used the same ingredients, but I'm positive that she didn't use the same measurements or the same standards and everything like that, which is why things don't look as uniformed as things should be when you're making the same exact product that you have been using in advertising for everything else. People were telling her that. Well, things got shipped out. Things got shipped out in paper packages. Keep in mind, this is a product that contains milk. What happens to milk? It doesn't just like keep its freshness or whatever. No, if you don't refrigerate milk and you leave it out in the sun or in the heat for however long, it's gonna go bad. Guaranteed it's gonna go bad. Guess what? She left it out in paper packaging, and it was being crushed inside 100+ degree USPS trucks. And so when people were getting theirs, some of them, their bottles were exploded, some of them were discolored, and some of them just looked like the milk curdled for the sauce. And it just, other people were describing the smell as terrible. And of course, the other complaints, different colors, different consistencies, yada yada. People just strew their stuff out. A lot of people were having a commotion for this because what people know is if somebody tries that and gets seriously sick and has to go to the hospital or dies, she can have a huge lawsuit in her hands. She can be sued by multiple people at once. And people are like, hey, stop selling them. If you can't refund people their money back, get that crap FDA approved. Oh yeah, she didn't know that FDA wasn't just for drugs. She thought the FDA was only for drugs. The F in FDA stands for food, and her chat, she did that live, her chat started correcting her. She later came back and like, oh yeah, I knew this. So you're a chef? You're a chef? You didn't know the F in the FDA stood for food? Okay. Well, she ends up, correcting that, whatever. She makes this video that people were calling out as fake, having the FDA go to her house. And then I saw this one video, I'll post it up if I can, basically explaining like, hey, there's a process for the FDA to actually come to your door. And that's if you ignored so many of their emails and notices to your mailbox for a long period of time that they're basically forced to go see you at your door. So people are basically saying this. Why? Because they don't want to see a black woman succeed in this world. People are being actually ignorant and prejudiced and racist for the fact that they don't want to see a black woman succeed. How racist is that? That's insane. You can't help yourself but put down a black woman from trying to get ahead in life in this racist country that we live in. No, of course not. People were saying all that stuff because they were telling her, hey, listen, we want to see you succeed. In a world where corporations are trying to own absolutely everything and regulate absolutely everything, and people don't care about us or anybody else, because as long as it lines their pockets and has them afford their mansions and boats, they don't care, you know? In a world where corporations run basically everything, people want to see small businesses succeed. People want to see mom and pop shops succeed. So people were telling her, hey, listen, get your stuff straight, get it FDA approved, and once everything's all said and done and you have a specific ingredient list and recipe, whatever, and you know all your measurements and you can come out with a uniform product, then sell it. Well, as long as you have proper packaging on top of that too. People don't want their stuff coming in all busted and everything. It's like, then sell it, because that way you reduce greatly the risk of being sued, greatly the risk of somebody getting sick from your product, and greatly from having your future ruined. People were saying that because they wanted to see her succeed, but apparently that's not enough. Apparently criticism just means that you're bullying somebody and you want them to fail. Well, at least that's how she sees it, because she came back after 2 months, after all this fiasco died down and barely anybody was even talking about it. Today, I decided to be like, let me see what's going on. I haven't heard from that lately, and I realized that she went on a show.
I feel like I haven't met her yet, and just kind of the last line of her saying that I harassed her just didn't make me uncomfortable, because I never set out to harass anybody, and I think that's like a little bit delusional to say something like that.
So tell me, from your perspective, she says that she didn't harass you.
I think it's delusional to send a sample to a laboratory after you stuck your finger in it.
When you tasted Chef P's sauce, you did the viral video. Tell me what you then did.
So I saw it and I was like, wow, this is such a cool sauce. It's bright pink, like I'm a sauce girl. So when I was doing the review, there was just so many red flags that I saw in it, like the label, when you make a USDA label, you have to put in batch numbers, because if something were to be recalled, you have to be able to trace it down to the salt and pepper that is in something. And so if something...
Wait, not to cut you off, but to cut you off. So you didn't see the video because you follow me, right?
Well, I want to hear Allie.
Yeah, absolutely. You had your time to talk, so just let me have mine. So I understand, like, if it does have dairy in it, you see all these concerns. You saw my TikTok. I follow you. You have my address, my phone number, my email. If once I posted my original video, if you wanted to make things right as a business owner, when you create a product, that's your pride and joy. You send it off to someone, they don't like it. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's my pride and
So
joy.
were you
Let
saying
me
that
fix
you
it.
weren't contacted by
No,
Chef P?
and the thing is, if you knew I had a problem with it, you could have contacted me and I could have turned around. And I'm not a hateful person. I could have been like, wow, Chef P contacted me.
So you're saying that you contacted me?
No, I'm saying you didn't contact me.
Okay, but why would I contact someone who's fabricating something on the internet?
Nothing was fabricated.
To be honest, you're not special. You're not special.
I could have, taken down the video and done my testing and kept it to myself, which I did.
No, you could have reached out to me like, hey girl, you know what? I see what you're doing, it's amazing and all. I'm a supporter, but I think you should look into this. Take this step. Did you research this? Did you check out your packaging there? Versus trying to tear down my business and my livelihood. And I'm gonna touch your hand when I say this. When I said that you're not special, I meant that as you're not special as far as someone trying to hurt me.
I think this is a moment of reflection.
Absolutely, and I think it's a moment of learning on both parts.
I think the learning is more on your part.
That woman, out of everybody out there, that one woman that she wanted to bring on the show to confront her, was the one who genuinely gave her product a shot.
Okay, y'all, I've been back and forth all day whether I wanted to make this or not, but I bought it in the first place to review it. If you look at the order receipt, I ordered it July 1st. That was before any of the reviews came out, so I bought it because I wanted to give y'all a 100% honest review. So that is what I'm here to do. My bottle doesn't look swollen, okay? It doesn't, it gives. There's no swollen. I've checked the seal. Everything's good on that. A little bite is not going to hurt me. And if it does, and it gives me food poisoning, at least I'll lose a couple pounds. And if I get sick, at least I have someone sick with me. So it's sealed. Okay, there's no air coming in or out of it. So it smells like ranch. Like it smells like the dry ranch packaging. So there's really not like a bad smell to it at all. All right, she's a little bit more brave than me, so we're just gonna put that on there. I'm just gonna try that much. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Doesn't really have a taste.
It is like sweet ranch.
The aftertaste, I'm not messing with. It's like watered down ranch, just like everyone's saying, but
yeah,
there's like a sweet aftertaste that is not good. Like I would not eat this on my pizza. I wouldn't dip my chicken nuggets in it. She will, obviously, because she's still eating it. So if anyone ends up in the hospital, it's going to be her. But no, it's not. It's not bad. Definitely not worth $20 a bottle. But we support small businesses. I don't know if she's fixing things or not. That's not my problem. But it's decent. Not decent enough to buy.
For $20.
For $20. And I don't really care for the taste. It's not disgusting, but it's not for me. I don't really like it. Again, it's not like rich and creamy. Something that I would eat my pizza or like garlic knots in. Watery. I don't even know what I would dip in this. So, yeah, totally do not recommend.
And Chef Pie needed to bring her to the show to confront her and everything like that. And here's the part that annoyed me. I'm assuming the host, whoever his name is, Garamo or something like that. Basically, what the reviewer was saying was like, hey, listen, I just wanted you to do good. It was criticism. And Chef Pie was like, you could have hit me up and you could have just told me, hey, I have some suggestions for you instead of going out there. And it was like, no, I don't. No, you don't. No one has to go that route, hate you up privately or anything like that. No one has to do any of that. One, because you should have known that yourself, being a chef or whatever, you know. And two, it's not the burden of the person who purchased your product to go up to you and make suggestions of what you can do. They can review. They bought it. They got it. It's legally theirs. They can do whatever the hell they want to. And she could have been like, yo, this crap is nasty. This crap is disgusting. Who would ever buy this? Stay away from this. You know, because some other people did that. No, she was the only one that I've seen so far that was actually nice about it. Hey, you know, it's not for me. You like it, that's cool. But it's not for me. And he decided to take that one up the butt for some reason. So here's the thing that pissed me off more. In the end, basically, the reviewer, she was like, you know, it's a learning thing for both of us. And then the host was like, well, more so for you. And it's like, bro, listen, get off Chef Pie's nuts. All right. He's like, look, she's not going to smash you. All right. She's not going to do any form of pleasure services to you or anything like that. Relax. It's like, this isn't about somebody who doesn't want to see a black woman succeed. This is somebody who wants somebody to succeed so much that she is giving her valid and positive criticism. Hey, listen, fix your stuff. Just like everybody else was doing, fix your stuff. But she's like, oh no, this and that. Look, just because you're a minority doesn't mean that people are bullying you when they're giving you criticism. Just because you are a female doesn't mean that you are immune from criticism and are able to not like just shake it off and declare it as bullying and everything like that. The fact that you have more people saying, hey, listen, you're dumb and you need to fix your stuff before you get sued, more so than people being like, oh, well, you're doing great. Oh, they don't want you to succeed. It's just like the fact that you have more people criticizing you should tell you, hey, listen, maybe you should listen to them. It's like, you guys ever hear about this thing called an echo chamber? It's basically what it is. You go somewhere that produces an echo and you shout, and then whatever you shout is bounced back at you and everything. Now, basically do that all the time by shouting what you believe in or what you feel, what you think, and it keeps being repeated back to you. And you're only surrounding yourself with people who keep saying the same exact thing you want to. And a second somebody else comes in and says something in the contrary, you're all like, oh, and you all attack them and everything like that. It's like you're just in an echo chamber. You just want to hear what you say being spouted right back at you so you can feel better about yourself. And that's basically Chef Pie. Take criticism. As somebody who produces anything, for me, if I get criticism, guess what? I'm going to take that criticism into practice. But if somebody, especially when it comes down to somebody in the culinary arts who gets criticism for something and you see and everybody else sees that that criticism is valid, that should be a little sign, a little thing in your head telling you, hey, maybe I should look into this. Maybe I should actually heed their warnings and everything. Maybe I should actually make changes or just stop, reflect, and realize, hey, this needs to get done before I continue forward. You know? That's just my 2 cents. But that's what's happening lately. And like, honestly, in the end of the day, that host pissed me off because it's like, oh, it's more of a learning opportunity for you than her. It's like, relax, dude. Freaking relax. Jesus Christ. It's just, man, the host is a simp. Last thing, because my lady's about to be home. Leaving off on the positive notes. I like when people find a way to produce random things into something useful. Just the other day, I saw this thing where people were turning mangoes into turning one fruit to another. Turning mangoes into vegan leather and everything, or mango leather. Basically, make it feel and look exactly like leather. From mangoes, you know? Instead of throwing out your rotten mangoes, you know, let's just make them into leather, you know? So you don't have to skin cows. I don't know. But today I saw something especially cool. It's a company in Uganda who found a way to, because like apparently bananas are very, like, you lose more in profit for bananas because, I mean, they rot faster and the trees, you know, aren't really that great and everything like that. So instead of just letting them just be like, oh, forget about it, no, out of sight, out of mind, this company took banana stumps, the banana trees and everything that aren't good anymore, managed to actually smash them and do all this stuff, where they ended up turning it into a fiber. And they turned it into fibers that are thin but strong, like braided rope. And they're using it to make all this stuff. So I just thought that was pretty neat. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it. And honestly, if they can find more ways to do stuff like that, yeah, I'd be down for it. I'd be down to invest in that. But yeah. All right, that was it. Thank you all for this. It's a little bit a longer episode this time. Not as long as other episodes, but still. But I thank you all for joining me for another episode of the Mando. Really, it means a lot. It does. It's a little bit of a rant this time. But I like doing it. I hope you guys enjoy the new style of editing also. It takes me a longer time to make this stuff, to edit it and have it posted out and everything like that, because before it used to take me a total of maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Now it takes me an hour, maybe 2 hours or whatever, finding the right ones, putting them in the right positions. But it is how it is. I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I enjoy seeing you guys enjoy it. Alrighty. Like I said, thank you again for joining us for another episode, or joining me for another episode of The Mind of Mando. I've been your host, Armando Ortega, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. See ya.